Japanese Soul Cooking is a cookbook I always recommend to people who want to start learning how to cook Japanese food. It deals more with comfort cooking, which I think is the easier side of Japanese cuisine, because usually when people think of Japanese cuisine, they think of very delicate, elegant meals such as sushi. This is a little more laid back. The presentation isn't as important for these recipes, but they still look good. The writers of this book are Tadashi Ono and Salat. Salat's kind of gone under the radar in recent years. I haven't found any news from him since 2018, where he's opening up some restaurants in Brooklyn. Miscellaneous Ono is a chef who specializes in Japanese cuisine. He's classically trained in French techniques, and he's cooked at many famous restaurants in New York City. I thought he had cooked at Matsuri for 17 years according to his LinkedIn, but then looking more, I realized that he closed down Matsuri in 2012, so that's unfortunate. It just seems like the authors have disappeared. Salat's restaurants in Brooklyn have closed. Tadashi Ono's website just leads to some weird Chinese gambling site. It's a shame because they were a great duo, and I'd love to see more cookbooks from them, so I'm hoping in the future they'll eventually come out with something new. This book is from 2013, but to me, it's timeless. So this cookbook covers over a lot of the fundamental Japanese cuisines out there, like ramen, curries, udon, donburi, tempura. A lot of these recipes are like what originally was bar food in Japan, but eventually kind of went to home cooking, so these recipes are really easy to make at home. I always make the gyudon and the oyakodon recipe from this book. Those are really easy to make, and they're always my go-to when I want a quick, easy meal. This book has a lot more heavier Japanese foods, like katsudon, gyudon, food that feels very hearty when you eat it. It's like American soul food, where after you eat it, you feel like you got a warm hug from the chef. Then when you drive home, you feel sleepy. Then you get home and you pass out. There's also a lot of light recipes in this book, such as the potato salads or the fresh salads or the pickled vegetables. So it's got a wide range of good Japanese food. I love the look of this cookbook. It feels like a late night Japanese bar in Tokyo. It just makes me want to order a Asahi Dry and just vibe in a Japanese bar. A lot of red and blacks and dark colors. The photographs in this cookbook are amazing as well. It just feels like normal people out in the night. I just love seeing the people so happy and enjoying all this food. My issues with this book is some of the recipes aren't as optimized as I would like them to be. I've had to change the gyudon recipe, just simple steps like frying the onions first instead of boiling them, because I kind of like that Maillard reaction with the onions. Also, I do like the pictures in this book, but I think there could be a few more. Sometimes it's hard to know if you've done the recipe right or not because you have no picture to reference. And especially with food like Japanese food that maybe I'm not as familiar with. A lot of these recipes have fried food, so also if you're adverse to frying things in the kitchen. So if you're adverse to frying food, just skip out on those recipes. There's still a lot of great recipes that don't require frying, such as the curry recipes or the udon recipes. Also, I think the itame and chahan section is a little kind of thrown together. I wish there was more pictures in this section, but this section is mostly Korean and Chinese influenced food, so I can kind of see where he might not be putting too much emphasis on it, but that would be kind of nice. And what's great is each recipe has a description that kind of talks about the history of these dishes or where they're popular or how they're eaten. So it's a really good introduction into Japanese cuisine. This book also has a lot of great dumpling recipes in the section on how to make gyoza. It's really cool to see all the different styles of gyoza because really I'm only accustomed to shrimp, chicken, or pork. It's just kind of cool to see all these little different details of Japanese food. In the back, there's a section on common Japanese ingredients and what they're used for, and a short history about them. There's also Japanese restaurant recommendations in the back for restaurants in Japan. Though since this book is made in 2013, they might be outdated, but it is a nice little touch. Yeah, so overall, I really recommend this book. It's a great read. I use this book all the time. This book is targeted more for beginners, so if you want more advanced books, there's other books out there, but it's very good for people who are just learning Japanese food. The book has a lot of great recipes, it's well presented, and it's just overall a great package. I'm giving this book an 8 out of 10.